Lisa, I mean, Addie Deal mentioned, and Layla mentioned that it kind of gave you guys a chance to focus on yourselves a bit.
Yeah, you kind of want to go into them always if you're on a winning note, but I think it's good either way. I think they had a nice 2-day break. We gave them over Saturday, Sunday, so hopefully, I mean, they practiced really well on Friday, and they practiced really well yesterday, so hopefully we'll have another good one today and be ready to go against Washington.
How much, I mean, at this point, when the tournament's kind of starting to come into view a little bit, and, Ava talked after the Minnesota game about the importance of having tournament games here. Do you go down that road of emphasizing any of that, or is it kind of
Yeah. Well, early, I mean, that's the people who've been around, you kind of just know that. We're younger than we're older, so you kind of mention it, but then you kind of see how the year's playing out. And now, certainly, it's within reach, right? It's always so fun when you get a host. You can't make that the sole focus in the sense of like you can get tighter when you're shooting for that. But I think if handled right, it can be another fun motivator because we're right there on that cusp, and we have been. So we've visited with it, I've visited about it, but I'm just trying to keep them where we have been pretty good this most of this season up until about 3 games ago, handling as we've climbed again. I think Jeff asked me a while ago, have you overachieved? And I don't know, how you really define that because you're just trying to always chase greatness. But I think that this particular team, as we kind of got into that upward swing, then you can kind of add the different possibilities. But with that, there's a lot of distractions. And I thought we did a pretty good job staying in that lane. And now I just got to make sure we're keeping in that lane because now it's different distractions. It's amazing they can change overnight, from like, oh gosh, all the wins, and you lose a couple. Then it's like, oh gosh, what's happening, right? And so any team will tell you that usually within a season, a little swing's going to happen like that. So long-winded, yes, we've discussed it as a great possibility if we can keep, get back to, I think the majority of who we are. But I think what we're seeing, we just gotta, we have some moments we just haven't been as consistent, maybe a little younger than we're older. But if we can, stack a few more, good days and a couple wins, I think we can get back to that. We'll start with one.
How much the message individually has been to say, emphasize, we've seen your best for long stretches this year, and you've shown what you can do when you're productive, and just kind of reminding what this team has done positive.
Yeah, and I think that's been a kind of a big key of what we tried to do, is just kind of remind them. And I think the coaches in this league and probably the players, we know it more than anybody, is this is just a really competitive, fun, hard conference. And the ones who usually end up at the end of it, feeling pretty good about things, are you weather those storms. And they're just a lot of really good players. And I'm telling you, everybody has them. I've watched good players. I've been, watching different people play different people. And, there's just good players from UCLA all the way to the middle to the bottom. And on any given night, boy, if you're a little flat, if you're not quite on, it can open itself up to a little, you can feel a little disappointed. But I think if we can just get a little bit more consistency back, I think we can still have a really great fun ending to the season, is what we're all planning on.
Washington was kind of your slump buster last year. What do you remember about that game, and does that give this team any added confidence?
Yeah, I think I haven't really, I don't know if it's Washington, because when I remember about Washington is Lucy Olson was amazing. And Lucy Olson, speaking, is still amazing as the 6th woman of the year in her league. So I don't know. There's a lot that's made about that, if a team beats someone that they lost in overtime to last year, it's like, oh, that's the motivation. I think you can remember that, right? But once that ball's tipped, all of that's gone. I bet you if you asked any kid about a motivational reminder of what happened last season, they're not even thinking about that. It's all about what's happening in that game. So the fact that we happen to be playing Washington, that hasn't crossed my mind in the sense of like, oh, it's Washington, we did this last year. I'm pretty much wired forward thinking, and the people that were on the team last year are not on the team this year. And Washington remains as hard as they were last year to guard. They have tremendous three-point shooters. They run predominantly the Princeton offense. They're a difficult guard because they shoot the three ball, on paper just as well, but some of them better than some of the Minnesota kids. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. I would love it if it could be a game like Wisconsin. We played Washington last year, but I'm not counting on last year. I'm hopefully counting on what we'll do this year.
I know you mentioned that with Taylor out now, it's kind of been trying to search to find the right rotations, the right combinations of some of the lineups. Is the plan to stick with the same starting five and then just,
Yep.
I guess, Addie Deal played so well prior to her moving into the starting lineup. Have you guys considered that maybe she was getting used to the role off the bench, or is that just?
Yeah,
I guess,
I'm considering all options. I'm considering all, and I think that's very true. And sometimes kids are just a little better. There's less pressure when you're coming off. And I think Addie's had a lot of pressure for a lot of good reasons, a lot of good intentions, and I think she's handled it really, really well. But yeah, I've been, studying that. Everybody, I've used a lot of analytics. I look a lot of the stats, and looking at matchups, looking at how we've started games, all the things. So that's a continual point of what I've been working on over the weekend. So that could definitely be a change up.
Looking at Washington, I mean, what Avery Howell's done this season is, obviously she was in a different role at USC last year, but just are you kind of surprised with what she's been doing? I mean, I think she had like 34 and 50.
Yeah. No, we recruited her and actually Bryn McGoy real hard in high school. And then I tried to get in with Howell when she went into the portal. But she's just a phenomenal scorer. And when she gets hot, that kid can score it from about anywhere. And in fact, I'm just watching some of that Wisconsin film. Wisconsin played a little bit of a zone with them, and she got open a little bit there. But they're Princeton action. They run that about as well as anybody. And when they're cooking, Avery can hit it. Sellers is, she's fantastic and fun. She can get to the rim. She can hit beautiful Euros, but she's got no conscience. So you got two kids that really have no conscience when they're shooting. Sellers, if your hands are down and she's about 6-7 feet behind the line, it's a beautiful pop and it's really, really quick. So I'm not surprised. I thought that was a really good get by Washington in the portal, but I do know Washington was one of the contenders the first time round. So I'm not surprised, but I would like her to be off tomorrow night.
How quick Taylor was able to get her shot off. She was able to maybe get a shot where other players can't. How do you make sure you're still getting open looks for three for the players that can hit them when you don't have a shooter who can just whip it?
Yeah, I think we have different sets that we continue to put in. You kind of rotate through them because with scouting, people know them. Trying to, sometimes you have to be able to break people down off the bounce. And we're, working on also that skill because when you are able to break them down off the bounce, you draw help and then you can kick. In the years past, that's been a lot of our offense. This year, we don't have that yet quite as capable. In the two-post offense, we have opportunities for that. I believe that we're getting a little bit more comfortable in looking for that and attacking it. Sometimes, especially with younger teams, it's kind of that the thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. A lot of times when you're driving, you're just seeing, I'm going to drive and I'm going to force this drive. I think we're taking steps and the drive is really not for you. It's not for you. The drive right now is you are driving because I need to get Addie a set shot, right? It's not to go up, or Addie's driving and it's not to go up against 2 people. It's to hit it to a wide open chit chat over there. And I think we're progressing. We've been working a lot on our player development, But I think it just kind of, you have to just keep working on it. And the amount of attacking and film watching and understanding that, that next pass or, even a stop, a jump stop, and a step through pitch. And that's what we've been working on, along with different sets for different people. So, I'd like to have a little bit more free flow because you're not as easy to scout if you're always calling all the things. But I have put at least 5 new specials in, and hoping that at the right time, that's going to give the people I would like to have a shot opportunity a shot.
You talked a lot about Chit Chat's progression, and then obviously her becoming more of a leader and gaining more confidence in her voice that way. You've talked about Strimlo kind of being in that same vein. How important is it beyond Kylie and Hannah, in that young group, to have kind of that mental stability really start to take shape as the season gets more intense here in the
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big difference maker, right? I think Ava is also capable of that. Ava is right now between her and Chit Chat on the floor a lot, and certainly one of our most consistent players. Although I keep pushing the bar for her on that consistency, but I brought her in yesterday and just talked to her that she's now earned and I think garnered that ability to talk a little bit more, to have some expectations of the others, to use her voice when she needs the ball and wants the ball. That's the next step for a post player. Sometimes you're kind of shy about it because, you don't want to bark at people, I don't want to ball. And, I've shot 3 times in a row when, if that's best for the team, you need to shoot 4 times in a row. And that's where I think Ava's getting a little bit more confident if she does have an advantage, needing to be able to call for it a little bit more. Guards have so much to look at. They've been doing a lot with not a lot of direction as much. So just kind of giving Ava a little bit more permission to also lead and be able in a huddle to say, hey, look, I got a 6'1" on me, right? Or they're switching screens on this. And I think Ava is more and more comfortable with that. So I'm hopeful she can get a little bit more vocal and chat if we can get those two to continue playing just a little bit, more vocally and continue the consistency. I think that we've seen a lot of, I've seen a lot of growth from Chit Chat from practices leading up until Minnesota. The Minnesota game was stellar for Chit Chat. Her voice in practice the last couple, and I think Ava also. So I'm hoping that those two, and Strim is doing a phenomenal job. Strimlo is, she's a real selfless. She'll take whatever role she's got to do off the bench, starting 1, 2, 3. She'll be the 5. So I think those guys, along with hopefully the senior urgency, I think that can help us here down the stretch.
What do you want to see in maybe the first quarter tomorrow, the first 5 minutes of the game that'll make you say, hey, it feels like this team is prepared to try to break this slide?
I would like to see our defensive urgency. We had a nice quarter offensively, and then that left us a little bit, and then our defense really did the second and third quarters. I just want to see a little bit more of a assertiveness on defense, and we're going to need it. I mean, you cannot be passive with as the ability of the shooters of the Huskies. I just have so much respect for Tina. Does a great job, nicest person. But man, Sellers, Howell, Ladine, those 3 shooters, 40%, 47% from 3, and 32% from 3. And Ladine is usually 40%. From last year, like those 3, that's 1, 2, 3s that are lethal. And they're 4 and 5, they're definitely, you pay too much attention. They're very, very good, Steins and McGoy. So we have to be assertive. I think if I just see our little swag again and really coming out on our ball screens and knowing our assignments and not blowing the assignments, that'll make me feel a lot better that we're back and kind of locked in for the future and not looking behind.
Forgive me for what is probably a repetitive
Yeah.
question for you at this point.
Yeah.
With having lost Taylor and some of the depth issues, I know it'd be great to have Emily back in line. Where is she getting close at all?
No, it just her back continues to be an issue, and So we're just, doing, the things that, trying to progress her, but it just is, that's the situation.
You mentioned Lucy playing in Australia. I was thinking, with you having some players who played abroad now, how's that compare to your playing experience overseas back in the early
Yeah.
80s?
Well, I mean, the comparison, I think, is they have FaceTime, and we had not even email. So I always kid them when they're a little homesick. I'm like, well, let me tell you about when we had rotary phones and you're calling from Europe. No, I think, it's just fun to share that with, Megan's overseas right now, or now she's back for a bit, Lucy. But, just sharing how it's so different culturally. Obviously, the game, everybody's a lot better than we were back there. I'll talk for myself. They're better than I was back then. But it's fun. I'm just so thrilled for Lucy. We were so blessed to have her last year. And I think, her being drafted, we saw the impact when you have a player like that. And she was so driven, and she led so beautifully. And when we went through and we finally got unified together, she was just a big catalyst of what we were able to do. And then, the rookie seasons and for freshmen here, for freshmen or rookies in the league, they're topsy-turvy, no matter how good you are. And, public opinion can be for you or against you or whatever. But for Lucy to come over, she held. A lot of kids get cut if you're not a first-round pick. She stayed and had some impactful minutes for the Washington Mystics. But then to go, to a really competitive league in Australia and to get that sixth player, that's awesome. I'm thrilled for her because that's a competitive league. And hopefully that'll bode well when she comes back and, everybody will be, they can only protect a certain amount of players on rosters. So whether Washington protects her or not, hopefully that'll help her marketability around the league. I'm here to endorse her. If anybody to take any of our players, I'd say you can't go wrong.
Is Jada getting any closer?
No, she's rehabbing the surgery. I can't remember you remember what they said? 2 month to 3 month before you can really start weight bearing. But I'm just happy for Jada's life. She was able to get that done. So, Jada had a very impactful role for us that wasn't on the floor as much. So that situation, I know Jada would love to play, and they all want to play more. Everybody wants their favorite players to play more. That's part of, the fan bases. But she's doing a great job leading, and I don't think we've even discussed yet how it's feeling. She is certainly not running, walking with ease, jogging, but that planting and cutting, we haven't graduated to that yet. I'd love to have her be in uniform by the end of the year. That would be awesome. But we're not at the point yet to discuss what that looks like. Yeah.